10. So in this case, you can see that powers of 10 are any numbers that are a 1 with zeros after it. So 10 through a million, a billion, a trillion, whatever. Okay, and what we found out in the last video is all we're really doing is just moving the decimal point. So 10 has 1 0, so that means we're going to move this decimal just one spot to the right, which would equal 78. Then if we multiply by 100, 100 has 2 zeros, which means we're going to move that decimal 2 spots, which means this one will become 845. This one has 4 zeros, which means we're going to move this decimal 4 spots to the right, and if you do that, you get 7,890. Okay, so on and so on. But what we're going to look at in this video is what happens when the power of 10 is a decimal. Okay, 1/10, or 1/100th, or 1,000th. What do we do there? Well, it's the same thing as what we did before. We're just moving decimals. But since these numbers are less than 1 whole, we're not going to move to the right. We're going to move to the left because our answer would be smaller. So this one, if you look, the decimal's over 1 spot. So that means I'm going to move this decimal over 1 spot, and that would equal 8 91/100ths. Now some people would be wondering, how can you multiply 89 times something and get 8? Well, you're multiplying by something that's quite a bit smaller than 1 whole, so your answer is going to be quite a bit smaller. Okay, let's look at the next one. This one, 102 3/10 times 100th. Well, this time this decimal is over 2 spots, which means we're going to move this one over 2 spots, and that would equal 1 23,000ths. And then the next one, if I took 19 times 1,000th, well, 19, the decimal for 19 is right at the end. Now this one, 1,000th, if I look at how far over this decimal is, you can see that it is 3 spots over. So that means I got to move this 3 spots over. And this gap right here would have a 0. So your answer on this one would be 19 thousandths. So when you're multiplying by a decimal power of 10, you're going to go to the left instead of the right. Now if I see a fraction, well, this means the same thing. So 1/10, I could write 1/10 as a fraction, but I also could write 1/10 as a decimal. Or 1/100th could be a decimal. And 1,000th can be a decimal. Fractions and decimals go hand in hand. They just name a number that's smaller than 1. Okay, so with this one, same thing. You can count how many spots over it is, or if it's in fraction form, you can just look at the zeros too. Either way, this one's showing move this over 1 spot. If I look at 1/100th, there's 2 zeros in 1/100th, or if I look at the decimal version, it's 2 spots over. So both of these we're going to move 2 spots over. And this one, 1/1000th, you can see that this decimal is 3 spots over, or if you look at the fraction form, there's 3 zeros. Either way, you're going to move that 3 spots. So your answers then would end up staying the same. So that's how you multiply by a power of 10 that's either a fraction or a decimal. You move it to the left.